Digital whispers when the game calls your name. This happened a few months ago, and it still gives me chills whenever I think about it. I was deep into a gaming marathon, playing this obscure indie horror game that promised to be the creepiest experience ever. Little did I know it was about to turn my night into a real-life horror story. It was one of those pitch-black nights with only the soft glow of my computer screen lighting up the room. I had my headphones on, fully immersed in the eerie atmosphere of the game. The ambience was spot on. Creepy whispers, distant footsteps, the works. The game had me on edge, and I was loving every second of it. But then, things took a bizarre turn. In the game, there was a section where you had to explore an abandoned building. As I cautiously entered a dimly lit hallway, I heard a sound that made my blood run cold. A soft, distant whisper that seemed to come from the game but didn't quite fit the environment. I shrugged it off, thinking it was just a part of the game's audio design. But then, the whispers became clearer, and I realized they weren't coming from the game at all. It was an actual voice, a woman's voice whispering my name, clear as day. I ripped off my headphones, and the room fell into an unsettling silence. I live alone, and there was no logical explanation for someone whispering my name. Heart pounding, I tried to brush it off, convincing myself it was a weird glitch or some auditory hallucination. I decided to take a break, stepping away from the computer to grab a snack and shake off the unease. As I entered the dark hallway leading to the kitchen, I froze. The whispers returned, the same voice now echoing through my apartment, calling my name over and over. I couldn't tell if it was a prank, a glitch, or something more sinister. Panic set in, and I called a friend to stay on the line with me while I investigated. But as I returned to the computer, the whispers ceased. My friend heard nothing, and I felt like I was losing my mind. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had crossed over from the game into my reality. Every time I glanced at the screen, a chill ran down my spine. I haven't touched that game since, and the memory of those whispers still lingers. A haunting reminder that sometimes the boundary between the digital and the real can blur in the most terrifying ways. The last broadcast, when Twitch went too far. I wouldn't call myself a hardcore gamer, a casual streamer maybe, but that night, all that changed. It was a random online pick, a dusty indie horror titled Whispers in the Static. Low budget, pixelated graphics, the usual jump scares. Perfect for a lazy Friday night stream. Little did I know Whispers wasn't your average haunted house simulator. From the start, it felt off. Glitches flickered across the screen. Whispers like radio static bled into the soundtrack. My chat, usually a rowdy bunch, fell silent, replaced by an unsettling tension. As I explored the game's desolate landscape, an abandoned radio station, the whispers grew clearer, forming words, sentences, my name, my real name, the one I never used online. A shiver ran down my spine, but I brushed it off, attributing it to the game's creepy ambience. Then, things got real. My microphone started picking up faint voices, whispers that weren't part of the game's audio, whispers that mimicked my viewers' chat, responding to their comments, even finishing their sentences. Panic flared in my chest, but the chat exploded, accusing me of using voice changers, an elaborate prank. Except it wasn't a prank. I was alone in my apartment, headphones clamped tight. The whispers escalated, turning into panic pleas for help, voices begging me to escape, to shut down the game. My chat went wild, a mix of confusion and growing fear. Even the most skeptical lurkers were unnerved. Then the screen flickered violently, static consuming the image. When it cleared, I wasn't in the game anymore. I was me, sitting in my chair. My webcam feed was replaced with a live shot of my apartment, my terrified face staring back at me. The whispers became screams, my viewers' names echoing in the distorted audio. My apartment lights flickered, furniture shifting ominously. It was happening. The game had breached the screen, invaded my reality. Panic, raw and primal, took over. I ripped off my headphones, scrambling to shut down the stream, the power button, but it was unresponsive, trapped. The screams reached a crescendo as a pixelated figure materialized in my room, its form coalescing from the static on the screen. It lunged, claws extended, and then darkness. I woke up in a hospital bed, monitors beeping around me. News reports blared about a viral streaming incident, claiming a technical malfunction caused mass hysteria. My apartment untouched, no trace of the game, the whispers. They called it a hoax, a collective hallucination, but I know the truth. Whispers in the static wasn't a game. It was something else, something hungry, lurking in the digital shadows, waiting for its next broadcast. So, next time you fire up a random horror game, remember my story. The line between pixels and reality is thinner than you think, and sometimes the scariest monsters hide behind the static. Pixelated echoes. It was a stormy night, the rain relentlessly tapping on my window. Perfect horror gaming weather, right? I fired up the game, an old school title with pixelated graphics and a haunting soundtrack. The atmosphere was top notch, with every corner dripping in suspense. As I delved deeper into the game, strange things started happening. The in-game glitches were one thing, but then the glitches seemed to spill into the real world. I'd hear subtle noises like footsteps or creaking doors, echoing the eerie ambience of the game. At first, I brushed it off as my imagination playing tricks on me, but then the glitches took a more unsettling turn. The in-game character started mirroring my movements, as if it could see me through the screen. I chalked it up to a well-executed game mechanic, until the character turned and stared directly at me with hollow, pixelated eyes. Unease set in, but I pressed on, thinking it was just an elaborate part of the horror experience. That was when the game seemed to breach the digital realm. I started receiving mysterious messages on my computer, as if the game was communicating with me outside of its code. The messages were cryptic, containing snippets of conversations I'd had earlier that day or references to personal memories. It was as if the game had tapped into my life, weaving reality into its twisted narrative. Terrified, I disconnected my computer from the internet, hoping it would put an end to the bizarre connection. But the game wasn't done with me. It continued to evolve, presenting challenges that seemed impossible to overcome. The protagonist in the game started resembling me more and more, and the horror became personalized, feeding off my fears and memories. One night, as I navigated a particularly unsettling level, the game abruptly crashed. I sat in the eerie silence, feeling a presence in the room that shouldn't be there. The lights flickered, and the game relaunched on its own, displaying a distorted version of my face on the screen. That was the breaking point. I uninstalled the game, wiped it from my system, and disconnected from the digital nightmare that had invaded my reality. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that the game left something behind, a lingering, intangible connection that occasionally whispers in the back of my mind.